The Senate will come to order. Mr. Majors, please call the roll.
Senators Aguilar, Baumgartner, Carroll, Cook, Crowder, Donovan, Garcia, Grantham, Guzman, Heath, Hill, Hodge, Holbert, John, John, Johnston, Jones, Kafalis, Kerr, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Martinez-Humenic, Merrifield, Neville, Newell, Roberts, Scheffel, Scott, Sonnenberg, Stedman, Tate, Todd, Ulibarri, Ulibarri,
Excused.
Woods. Mr. President,
Here. With 34 present, 0 absent, 1 excused, we have a quorum. Colleagues and guests, would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Senator Martinez-Humenic.
Thank you, Mr. President. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Senator Donovan.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the Journal of Wednesday, April 27th be dispensed with and the Journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is approved and the Journal is adopted. Committee reports.
April 27, 2016, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following Senate Bill 193 be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. April 27, 2016, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1080 be amended as follows and as so amended before the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation. April 27, 2016, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1311 be referred to Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation. April 27, 2016, Committee on Health and Human Services, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1442 be referred to Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 27, 2016, Committee on Health and Human Services, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1195 be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. April 27, 2016, Committee on Health and Human Services, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1321 be referred favorably to Committee on Finance. April 27, 2016, Committee on Education, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1177 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27, 2016, Committee on Education, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1423 be amended as follows and as so amended before the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1300 be postponed indefinitely. April 27, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1399 be postponed indefinitely. April 27, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1293 be postponed indefinitely. April 27, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1273 be postponed indefinitely. April 27, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1266 be postponed indefinitely. April 27, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1078 be postponed indefinitely. April 27, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1357 be postponed indefinitely. April 27, 2016, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1050 be postponed indefinitely. April 27, 2016, Committee on Business, Labor, Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1432 be referred to Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27, 2016, Committee on Business, Labor, Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1290 be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. April 27, 2016, Committee on Business, Labor, Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1261 be referred favorably to Committee on Finance. April 27, 2016, Committee on Business, Labor, Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following House Bill 1302 be amended as follows and as so amended before the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27, 2016, Committee on Business, Labor, Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 198 be amended as follows and as amended before the committee of the whole favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar.
Senate Services.
April 28, 2016, correctly printed, Senate Bills 200, 205, correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 77, correctly re-engrossed, Senate Bill 170 and 185, correctly revised, House Bills 1390, 1397, and 1401, House Joint Resolution 1183, correctly enrolled, Senate Bill 65 and 158.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. This time I move that the Senate proceed out of order for the purposes of a tribute to be presented by Senator Kerr.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will proceed out of order. Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a tribute I'd like to read, and if I could ask that our guests from Bell Middle School please stand up while I read this tribute. And yes, this tribute does have something to do with these objects that are up here that might look a little bit odd in the chamber. The Senate of the Colorado Legislature, convened in the second regular session of the 70th General Assembly, hereby extends heartiest congratulations and commendation to the Bell Middle School Sea Perch team. The members of the Colorado Senate are proud to congratulate the Bell Middle School Sea Perch team for receiving first place in the Colorado State Sea Perch competition. This award recognizes the extraordinary commitment of instructor Jen Flores, along with the team's dedication and understanding of the Sea Perch underwater robotics program. This demonstration of instructional effectiveness resulting in academic achievement is celebrated by the community and the Colorado State Senate. The team's hard work set the bar for what Colorado schools can accomplish now and in the future. On my request, signed by Bill L. Cadman, President of the Senate. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Sea Perch competition which this group helped achieve at the state competition. We actually have two teams here, and Bell Middle School actually qualified two teams to go to the state competition, which was held at Coronado High School in Colorado Springs. And knowing that there are several senators from Colorado Springs here, if you've not gone and seen the robotics program at Coronado High School, you absolutely should do that at some point. We were able to tour it the day of the competition. The reason I bring up that we actually have two teams here is that it was through their achievement, through working together in innovation and very carefully reading the rules, where they were able to, the two teams work together to win one of the two competitions, get first place in that, which really helped propel the one team to first place. But because they worked together, they innovated together, they achieved together, we wanted to make sure that both teams were here because they did work together to do this. Now, as mentioned in the tribute, these are our underwater aquatic robots. They don't float around, well, they can float around, but they're actually designed to go underwater. And let me explain the two competitions. The first competition, you have a series of hoops in the swimming pool underwater, and they have to design their sea perch to be able to be steered through these hoops at are different depths, and they have to move left and right, and they have to go all the way through the hoops and then come back. And they have to do that they win the competition by getting the least amount of time to steer their sea perch through those hoops and back. The second competition, which is where the two teams really came together and worked so well together, they actually had to have their sea perch go into the pool and collect little rubber ducks that have either numbers or symbols on them in a particular order. And some of the rubber ducks are actually sunk to the bottom of the pool, but they have to bring them back to the side of the pool in a particular order to spell out pi, 3.14, etc. You can ask those kids, the rest of the numbers. But I think they did it out to 9 decimal places was their winning achievement there. So because we can't really show you these in operation down here, because after all, they operate underwater, what we're going to do, I've worked this out with the sergeants, we're actually going to fill the lobby with water, and then we're going to have the boys... Thank you, Mr. President. And I guess we can vote right now whether we clear the lobbyists out of the lobby before we fill it up with water.
Not required. Sergeants, please seal the lobby and open the valves.
The last thing I wanted to mention was Bell Middle School has been a great place for my family. Jen Flores is an excellent teacher. They do have a STEM program, and that is why my family is a part of the Bell Middle School family. Neighborhood middle school in Golden, and we're just very pleased with the after-school programs and the STEM curriculum that is a part of this school. So if you could help me welcome and congratulate the Bell Middle School Sea Perch State Championship team. And while I have the microphone, I would also like to take a moment of personal privilege and welcome my wife, Tammy Kerr, and our son, Braden Kerr, who is a part of the team. Thank you.
Colleagues, we're going to stand in a brief recess so that we can greet our guests. The Senate will come back to order. Third reading of bills, consent calendar. Mr. Majors. Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move a call of the Senate.
Call of the Senate has been moved. It has been sustained. Sergeants, would you please secure the Senate doors? Retrieve missing members. Mr. Majors, please call the roll.
Senators Aguilar, Baumgartner, Carroll, Cook, Crowder, Donovan, Garcia, Grantham, Guzman, Guzman,
We good? Are we good?
Grantham, Heath, Hill, Hodge.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the call be raised.
Without objection, the call will be raised. Mr. Majors, would you please read the titles of the bills on the third reading of bills, final passage, consent calendar?
House Bill 1390 by Representative Moreno and Senator Guzman concerning immunity for certain persons who are involved with a reported overdose event. House Bill 1397 by Representatives Wright and Windholz and Senator Hodge concerning the completion of the Fitzsimmons State Veterans Community Living Center to provide a continuum of residential care options.
Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate adopt the two bills detailed on the third reading of bills for final passage consent calendar, which includes House Bill 1390 and House Bill 1397.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the third reading of bills, final passage consent calendar. Are there any no votes on either of the bills? With 34 ayes, Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded as a no vote on 1397.
Senator Neville will be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1397. Additional no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Bill 1390 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Stedman, Senator Heath, Senator Jones, Senator John, Senator Todd, Senator Carroll, Senator Merrifield, Senator Kerr, Senator Todd, did I get you? My bad, Senator Hodge, Senator Kafalis, Senator Aguilar, Senator Donovan, Senator Newell, co-sponsors. Senator Todd, I have you listed as a co-sponsor. Did you want to be a co-sponsor? I called you as a co-sponsor. I'm okay. Further co-sponsors, additional co-sponsors. Senator Johnston. With 33 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Bill 1397 is adopted. Co-sponsors.
I'll give you a thumbs up.
Senator Carroll, Senator Kafalis, Senator Johnston, Senator Todd, Senator Guzman, Senator Jones, Senator Heath. Senator John.
Just announce it.
Senator Garcia. Senator Merrifield. Senator Kerr. Senator Aguilar. Senator Newell. Senator Lambert. Senator Martinez-Humenick. Senator Crowder will be listed as a co-prime. Senator Crowder will be listed as a co-prime with Senator Hodge, as well as Senators Wyden and Windholtz on House Bill 1397. And Senator Donovan as a co-sponsor. Further amendments? Third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of Senate Bill 77?
Senate Bill 77 by Senator Cafalas, Representatives Janal and Primavera, concerning collaborative multi-agency approach to increasing competitive integrated employment opportunities of persons with disabilities in connection therewith advancing an employment first policy.
Senator Cafalas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I move Senate Bill 77 on third reading and final passage, and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Senator Hill.
Thanks, Mr. Colleague. Thanks, Mr. President. It's almost Friday. Colleagues, I ask for your support on this as well. I appreciate the sponsor working so closely with me, recognizing a role for limited government and addressing the challenges of individuals with developmental disability. We focused this amendment in Finance Committee. We talked about it on the floor yesterday, but yes, the government has a role, but we also have a role on private sector innovation and entrepreneurial ideas there. And so I really do appreciate the sponsor working with us. I think we've got a great opportunity here to do this right in Colorado, to allow people to stand on their own as much as possible, having the dignity of meaningful employment. And that's the focus of this bill. I ask for your support.
Senator Hill will receive a $2 credit back from the fine jar. Apparently you need the money more than we do. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 77 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senator Neville? Senator Sonnenberg? Senator Baumgardner? Senator Marble, Senator Holbert, with 29 ayes, 5 no, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 77 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Crowder, Senator Heath, Senator Hodge, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Johnston, Senator Carroll, Senator Jones, Senator Garcia, Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Merrifield, Senator Todd, Senator Stedman, Senator Kerr, Senator Newell, Senator Donovan, Senator Hill, Senator Lambert, please add the President. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of House Bill 1401?
House Bill 1401 by Representatives Baker, Kay, and Perillo, and Senators Woods and Hodge, concerning the regulation of retail food establishments.
Senator Woods.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask permission to run a third reading amendment.
You need to move your bill first.
Oh,
Senator Hodge.
Thank you, Mr. President. We move House Bill 1401.
Mr. Majors, there is an amendment. Oh, wait. Request is for permission to offer a third reading amendment. Please explain. Somebody, please explain. Senator Woods.
thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, according to the Colorado Capitol Watch, we have 9 days left and 300-plus bills to still go through the process. And so this amendment will undo the technical fix we tried to do yesterday. We'll let it go to the reviser, let them do the technical fix. Then this bill doesn't have to go back to the House and then come back over here. So it's a more efficient way for this bill to get through the process and out.
The request is for permission to offer a third reading amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Permission granted. Mr. Majors, please read Amendment 13.
Amendment No. 013-140.
Senator Woods.
As previously described, we ask for an aye vote.
I think it still has to be moved.
Oh, well, I'm with Hill. I need $2 out of that.
That's $6 for mentioning a colleague's name
Oh, yeah.
while you're working on a bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm with the good senator.
That's $8 for not being recognized. Would somebody like to speak on the amendment, perhaps moving the amendment? Senator Hodge.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move L013, please.
You way to go.
Is there further discussion on the amendment? Would anybody like to be recognized for further discussion on the amendment? Are there any no votes? Senator Stedman? Senator Kerr? Senator Sonnenberg?
No.
Senator Crowder? Senator Carroll? Senator Newell? Senator Baumgartner? Senator Cook? Senator Jones? Senator Scott? Please have the President. With 23 ayes, 11 noes, 0 absent, 1 excuse, Amendment 13 is adopted. Is there further discussion on House Bill 1401? Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'm opposed to this bill, of course, for a couple of reasons, and we talked about it yesterday, but I just want to reiterate. A 50% increase in fees to restaurateurs, even though the Restaurant Association may have support of approximately half of the restaurants in Colorado. Many of the restaurateurs don't know this is coming. So over the next 3 years, they'll see a 50% increase in their inspection fees. And although some people are asking for more regulation, many are not. The other issue that we have, of course, that I have with this bill is the regimen that is being adopted. It's a federal regimen for regulation. It's not a state regimen. We're told that this bill allows the state to pick and choose what it takes from this regimen. We were told this about the state health care exchange. We're told this about Common Core and No Child Left Behind. We've been told this many times. Colleagues, I don't think we should be part of including a larger footprint from the federal government here at the state level, so I will be a no and ask those of you to join with me who believe that the federal government should stay out of what the state should be doing by itself.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1401 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senator Neville? Senator Lundberg? Senator Sonnenberg? Senator Lambert? Senator Holbert? Senator Marble? Senator Scott? Senator Tate? Senator Crowder. Senator Baumgardner. Senator Hill. With 23 ayes, 11 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Bill 1401 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Kerr, Senator Todd, Senator Newell, Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Heath, Senator Johnston, General Orders, second reading of bills. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of general orders, second reading of bills. Senator Holbert will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The court rule is relaxed. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 150?
Senate Bill 150 by Senator Stedman, Representative Esgar. Concerning marriages by individuals who are parties to a civil union in connection with prohibiting marriages in circumstances in which one of the parties is already in a civil union with another individual, addressing the legal effect of parties to a civil union marrying each other, clarifying the dissolution process from parties to a civil union marry, and amending the bigamy statute to include parties to a civil union.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move Senate Bill 150, and I move the report of the Committee on Judiciary.
To the Judiciary Committee report, Senator Stedman.
Thank you. The Judiciary Committee report shortens one of the paragraphs in the bill, but I wouldn't get too hung up on that because I have a floor amendment that will make further changes. But let's go ahead with the Judiciary report.
Further discussion on the report of the Judiciary Committee? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee report is adopted. There is an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read Amendment L008?
Amendment L008 to Senate Bill 150.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move Amendment L008.
To the amendment, Senator Stedman.
Thank you. This amendment, colleagues, shortens the bill considerably. It removes some of the sections that are frankly conforming amendments that aren't necessary, and this manages to say the same things in fewer words. It's elegant, and I would ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on L008? Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm supporting this amendment. It was the product of a lot of discussion to try to address the issue, and I've got a little bit more that I think should be added to the bill, but I do find the ability to seek some common ground here and try to fix the specific legal problem that the senator from Denver is trying to address, and am supporting this amendment.
Is there further discussion on L008? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L008 to Senate Bill 150. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. To the bill. Senator Lundberg. There is an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read L010?
Amendment L010 to Senate Bill 150 by Senator Lundberg, amendment printed bill page 2.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Amendment 10.
To the amendment, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Amendment 10 is a legislative declaration. This bill, Senate Bill 150, is dealing with the issue of of those who have had a civil union license and then obtained a marriage license and are wishing to dissolve those legal relationships which they have, which are by Colorado law pretty similar but not identical, and therefore that's what I understand the intent of the bill to be. But it touches on a very controversial issue, and this all, of course, arises from the Obergefell decision that the Supreme Court issued last June. And this declaration is to state that we're not dealing with that issue. We're dealing with the legal complication of these two licenses held by certain people. So I'm trying to, within this legislative declaration, lay the ground, or put up the guardrails, you might say, as to what Senate Bill 150 is accomplishing and what it is not intended to accomplish. And that is to say that the controversy over Colorado's Constitution defines marriage as one man, one woman. The Supreme Court has said in the Obergefell decision and point out it's a highly controversial 5-4 decision, but nonetheless they said no, we see marriage has a very different meaning than that. I'm stating by this declaration that the passage of Senate Bill 150 is not presuming one way or the other. It's recognizing the reality of some individuals or couples in Colorado who have some legal dilemma. And I'm also stating and asking this body to adopt a document that states that the General Assembly may take up the larger question, but Senate Bill 150 does not address nor settle that concern.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And colleagues, I'll ask for an aye vote on Amendment L010. This adds a non-statutory legislative declaration to the beginning of the bill, and as the sponsor of the amendment indicated, it does recite some of the facts and circumstances that have brought us to the point where we have this conflict in our law. And I don't agree with all of the assertions in the declaration, and yet I realize this is something where there is still dispute and there is still disagreement, and perhaps this amendment puts into our session laws some memorial of the fact that there is this disagreement, and so I'll respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Madam Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I respectfully ask for a no vote on this. I don't think this is helpful. I don't think it's the right thing to do. I ask for a no vote.
Further discussion on Amendment 10. Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L010 to Senate Bill 50. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. To the bill, Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleagues, this bill is intended to resolve legal conflicts that have arisen from the fact that in 2013, the state of Colorado offered the opportunity for committed couples to form civil unions. And for many couples in our state, this was an opportunity for them to gain important protections for their families, their children, their loved ones, and their property, and their estates. And because these protections had heretofore been unavailable to a large class of Colorado citizens, many people availed themselves of the protections that were extended through a civil union with a partner. Subsequent to the passage of the Civil Unions Act and hundreds of couples across Colorado forming civil unions, the courts, through litigation involving cases arising in other states, and in our case, a case out of Utah, Herbert versus Kitchen, have determined that it is unconstitutional to deny the right to marry the partner of one's choice on account of sex. And as a result of those court determinations, there was an injunction put in place that enjoined the enforcement of a provision of our state constitution that denied this equal opportunity to Colorado citizens. And the ability to marry the person you love became available to people across the state. And not surprisingly, almost all of the people that had formed a civil union back in 2013 and 2014 subsequently upgraded their relationship status to marriage. They did what they needed to do to protect their families, their children, their loved ones, their property, and their estates. It shouldn't come as any surprise that people went and did this. However, now that they have these two distinct licenses that recognize the fact they're in two distinct relationships, there are some legal problems that arise, particularly if they choose to divorce and dissolve those relationships. And Senate Bill 150 provides guidance for the courts and for the couples in this situation about how their relationships will be viewed. It will merge their civil union with their marriage so that they don't have to have two divorces and go through two dissolution processes with two potentially different outcomes. This is something that will help people and settle questions of property rights and, frankly, continue to afford the dignity and respect that a bond like this deserves. It will treat everyone equally in the eyes of the law. I think it's the right policy at this time, and I'd ask for your aye vote for Senate Bill 150.
Is there further discussion? Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this bill in its amended form, I'm going to vote for. And I reiterate my thanks to the sponsor for working with me in some fairly lengthy dialogue and discussion so as to find the common ground that we can support this legislation. I'm going to reserve a lot of my comments for third reading because I believe there are some real big issues here being dealt with. But right here and now for second reading, I want to explain that I believe that this is an appropriate piece of legislation to pass in its current form. And I trust that this legislature can find the right path that hasn't always happened this year in every legislature around this country. So with that, I ask for an aye vote for Senate Bill 150.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 150? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 150. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Bill 150 is adopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 183?
Senate Bill 183 by Senator Sheffield, Carter, Representatives Williams and Lawrence, concerning clarification of the General Assembly's intent to maintain the Public Utility Commission's authority over basic emergency services while prohibiting the regulation of Internet Protocol-enabled services by defining the term basic emergency service in a manner that is consistent with such intent.
Majority Leader Sheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We respectfully move House Bill 183 and the Business Labor Technology Committee report.
Is there discussion on the Business Labor Technology Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report from Business, Labor, and Technology. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee report is, the ayes have it, and the committee report is adopted. To the bill. Majority Leader Sheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleagues, as the session begins to draw to a close, it's a pleasure with my colleague from Jefferson County to bring Senate Bill 183 and the continuing saga that is telecommunications reform. As you know, there was a thorough discussion and reform effort that has been going on in this building for a number of years. It culminated 2 years ago with a package of bills that addressed telecom and the reform efforts, and then a additional discussion has been going on in this building surrounding the ongoing regulation, oversight, and how to bridge the gap with respect to emergency services, 911 services, and the advancement of this forward-looking technology business. We have some props here for you. This particular telephone dates from 1961. It's for you, Mr. President. All the way up to this device, which, as we all know, is with us all the time, and for the most part, many of us have cut the cord, don't even have these in our homes anymore. And so it's an interesting dichotomy. On the one hand, you've got forward-looking, some of the most entrepreneurial business interests in this state, responsible for employing a great many numbers of our constituencies, and at the cutting edge of technology and the advancement of the telecommunications. You have a history that is rooted in monopoly, as many of you well know, back to these days. And you've got overlay of federal regulation with the FCC and the ongoing battle in the intersection of the internet. To say it's a complicated area is an understatement. And all in the midst of that, you've got the huge interests of our emergency services, our 911. Remember the day when you had to pick this up and painfully dial the sheriff for the fire department? That's not the case anymore. We have a 3-dial automatic system, and the system, the route that those phone calls go through in the face of an emergency, we've all been there. We talk about it on First Responders Day all the time, where you make that call, they're on the phone, they're helping you, they're there within minutes, and the wonderful, wonderful service that is. And so that intersection of all that, because we want to preserve safety, we want to preserve the forward-looking entrepreneurial spirit of telecom, and we've got federal regulators that are in on the act, we've got our local regulators in the form of the Public Utilities Commission that are in on this, and so a good discussion has been had. Cut to the chase of where we're at today with agencies pursuing rulemaking. My colleague and I felt that as part of the original reform team that worked on telecommunications reform, that there was some disrespect of the lines between all those intersections. I will not bore you with the details, but it's something that's important to all the parties, and that is the source of Senate Bill 183. You've all been vigorously lobbied and watched it play out. I'm happy to report, as we present this bill, that cooler heads have prevailed. The focus has switched from turf battles to focusing on the important aspects of this industry. Again, how to find the right balance between preserving the interests of 911 and also preserving the letter of the law that was passed with the telecom package. And so what 183 will present shortly after my colleague and I amend it is how to bring the parties together to focus on forward-looking and how we can analyze this and make sure we're threading the needle with the interests of all these different parties. So we will be presenting an amendment. I'm going to let my colleague chat here about the basics of the bill and our efforts with respect to this, but appreciate your attention. You all have been participants of this discussion. It's been good. It's been one of the larger discussions in this building, and that's because it is so important to all of us, to our constituency, and to the state.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And glad we have some of the props here. I have to say that my co-prime sponsor here found an even better phone than I was able to come up with. But I think both of these help us show just how far telecommunications has come, how far the ability to communicate, and especially as this bill has really highlighted the ability to get emergency services no matter where you are, when you are. And real quick story about that and how important, obviously with 3 young kids at home, 911 is extremely important. It has been used often by my family. So we absolutely want to make sure that it stays a dependable emergency service for us. The last time that I called 911, I actually was in my car. I was driving home from the Capitol, last session. I was driving west on, had just turned on to 6th Avenue going west, and I saw a car that looked like it had just been in an accident. And as I kind of looked at the driver looked like they might have just been in an accident. And here we are starting to get onto a highway that goes right into the heart of my district out in Lakewood. And wow, that is not new, is it? Senator Ulibarri, he said to vote yes. As I picked up my phone as I was watching this car, and there were things, the bumper was hanging off, and the driver did not look like they were in good condition from what I could see. Picked up my phone, dialed 911, hands-free. You can do that on these new phones, of course. Dialed 911. And as I was traveling from Denver into Jefferson County and into Lakewood, I was having a conversation with a 911 operator. And the vehicle was obvious, and driver were obviously under duress. They alternated between going far below the speed limit to far above the speed limit, weaving, and I tried to keep the vehicle in my sights while I was on the conversation with the 911 operator. I found out I had to actually exit before I saw any conclusion to this, but I did find out later that the police, and I believe it was Jefferson County Sheriff's deputies close to Golden actually were able to finally pull the car over, talk to the driver, and it turned out that the driver was cited for leaving the scene of an accident and also for drunk driving. Now, the reason I bring this up is because in this case, 911 worked very well. And not only was the person, the person driving this car going through multiple jurisdictions and probably using different emergency service providers, but also I was, as being on the 911 call, I was moving through counties, I was moving through cities, and the system worked flawlessly. The system really worked in that case. And but we did hear in committee that there were cases actually in my district that there was an outage in January. Of course, this was the very first time I had heard about it, was in committee. No one had let me know before. But some of the information we learned through that 911 outage was that overall the system works very well, but it is not perfect. The one other piece of information which I think part of why I'm glad that this bill came forward and that we're having this conversation around 911, around emergency services, around our telecommunication services, is something I found out not too long ago, and that's why I've brought in these old cell phones. These are cell phones that do not have service any longer. I took them out of a drawer, the junk drawer in the kitchen, and charged them up. And as you probably know from an old cell phone, I don't even know the passcode to this one anymore, actually. But down in the corner, it says the word emergency. A cell phone that is charged up but has no service. I used to have service through AT&T with this, but I no longer pay AT&T for service to this phone. That word emergency there, you can push that word emergency and you can make a 911 call on a phone that does not have service for anything else. I can't call the minority leader, I can't call the majority leader on this phone, but I can call 911. That is an FCC regulation. That is something that the FCC has worked out with with Apple, who designed the phone, and also with AT&T and Verizon and all the other carriers, that this phone works in an emergency, even if it doesn't work for anything else. And like I said, I don't even know the passcode to this. I can't access anything else on this phone, but I can make a 911 call on that, and that is because of FCC regulation. With that, I think we'd like to move along to the strike below, and if anyone else has any phones that they'd like to bring up and talk about, we'd be happy to do that as well.
There is an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read read Amendment L027?
Amendment L027 to Senate Bill 183.
Majority Leader Shuffler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We move L027.
To the amendment, sir.
Thank you, colleagues. As was discussed, L27 represents a collaborative effort with the help of many of you here. It does represent a strike below that turns 183 into a robust task force to be held over the interim here, where we can bring together all the parties to talk about the things that mean most to us, which again is how to properly delineate the lines between the traditional service, the 911 services, the interplay of the FCC, the work of the PUC, and make no mistake, this is critical. At the root of 183 was looking at those lines and preserving the differentiation between the branches. The work of this body is the legislative, the work of the executive through the PUC, and making sure that folks stay in their lanes. That is something that's important to this system. It's not to be lightly disregarded, and but we all recognize that at the base of that discussion was the very, very important interest of public safety, and so we've all chosen to take a step back. All the rulemaking has been put on hold, and I want to thank the efforts of the governor's office in helping with that, and all the Public Utilities Commission and their involvement in halting that process so that we can engage in the discussion, and 183 as amended will facilitate that discussion. It involves important stakeholders from the various communities, involves obviously us as legislators, and allows us to look in this over the summer and really drill down on this. This is a topic that's not going to go away. It's going to be with us for a very long time because it is literally one of the basic needs of our society, communication. We're always looking at how we can do that better and how to preserve the various interests that are involved in that. And so appreciate the discussion, appreciate your support of Amendment 27.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Who's there? I ask for an aye vote on L027.
Is there further discussion? Senator Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank the sponsors for taking this approach, and just wanted to say for a moment that I think the bandwidth that the interim committee gives us is helpful. For those of us who've worked on the history of these negotiations before, this is important because my understanding is that we were preserving the ability to regulate 911 regardless of technology. And I think that this is a big issue, and I think that this is an interesting alternative, and I'm grateful for them doing it. I'd like to ask, though, for Senatorial 5. This is the first time I've seen it. It is a strike below, and I just want to take a good look at what the composition of the committee is and request a Senatorial 5.
We will stand into Senatorial 5.
Chairman, I think we're ready to go with Amendment 27. We renew our motion for Amendment 27 to Senate Bill 183. Then there's another one coming.
Senator Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you to the sponsors and members for the time in the senatorial 5. You will be seeing one other amendment for senior representation, but I just wanted to say I support L027 and am grateful to both of the sponsors for offering it, and thank you for the time to look it over.
Is there further discussion on Amendment 27? Senator Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And my hat's off to my two colleagues sponsoring this bill. We had an extensive conversation in Business, Labor, and Technology on this bill. And many of the stakeholders came in and basically said it wasn't the bill itself, but that 911 service was not working for them. And we're talking firefighters, we're talking law enforcement, we're talking people that as a profession work with 911. And it became obvious to me that, yes, we needed to deal with the issue that 183 brought up, but we really needed to deal with the broader issue of having 911 service that was reliable, and when you picked it up, that it worked. And if something went wrong, more importantly, that you knew who would go to fix it. And the current system that we have, excuse me, that we had, boy, frog in my throat. The system that we had, basically with two masters, with the PUC and the FCC both having oversight of parts of this program, in my mind, when you have two masters like that, it really doesn't work. And the January outage, where both we had a couple of vendors, a couple of the companies that serve 911, thank you, Andy, both pointing their fingers at somebody else, that's just not acceptable. So what this strike below does is provide a forum to discuss the real issues, and that is to make certain that we have a 911 service that works for everyone and that we know who is responsible if and when we have an outage and the system doesn't work. So my hat's off to the sponsors. I think we have an amendment which will add senior representation. As a member of the senior community, I would be happy to have that happen. But more importantly, I want to thank the sponsors for dealing with obviously a very difficult and sensitive issue and come up with a solution that I think works for everyone. I look forward to seeing the outcome of this interim committee. Thank you.
Further discussion? Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to also rise in support of Amendment 27, which does create the interim committee. As we heard in testimony and as we've heard in the volume of emails and phone calls and personal visits, not only in our town halls, but also at the Capitol, that there is a great deal of concern on all sides about this issue. And I am really happy, and thank you to the sponsors for doing it the Colorado collaborative way and making sure that all parties are present, that we are able to look at this really complicated area of law and complicated area of policy to make sure that we get it right. If there is any role in government, it's for public safety, and we need to make sure that we're protecting that. So,
I have Amendment L027. Is there an Amendment 2?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So after this amendment, I'd like to offer another amendment, and I ask for an aye vote on Amendment 27.
Very good. Is there further discussion on Amendment 27? Seeing none, the question before us is Senator Neville.
Colleagues, I respectfully ask for a no vote on Amendment 27. We listened to this bill for 3 hours. It was very clear what this bill was about. Although the sponsor might be inclined to agree with this, after sitting there for 3 hours, understanding who is actually overseeing the regulation of 911 in which specific areas, I think that was very clearly put out by the bill, by testimony, and by both sponsors. So I would oppose Amendment 27.
Further discussion on Amendment 27. Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of Amendment 27 to Senate Bill 183. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. To the bill. Is there further discussion on? Okay. Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I also would like to thank the sponsors of this bill for this compromise. I was peripherally part of the discussions in 2014, and I do specifically remember us saying that we would not impact the PUC's ability to regulate 911 regardless of initial service provider. And so I think, you know, that's a hearsay, who remembers what, who thought they promised what discussion. And I think what this strike below does is bring it to the real discussion, which is how do we be sure that any of our consumers who call 911 can be guaranteed that they have access to 911, particularly when we know there are so many illnesses now that can have a dramatically improved outcome by getting you to treatment in under 10 minutes. And that difference of playing with your phone a little bit before you realize you need to go to another phone could be the difference between being able to live a life independently or dependently. And so I really appreciate the work of the sponsors on this bill. I agree with Senator Newell. I would like to see more consumer representation, or at least some consumer representation. I know she's trying to bring an amendment forward to deal with that, which is why I'm babbling unnecessarily here at the podium. Thank you.
Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. While we work through this, I would request a senatorial 5.
Senator will stand as senatorial 5. good. The committee will come back to order. We are on Senate Bill 183. There is an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read Amendment L028?
Amendment L028 is Senate Bill 183 by Senators Carroll.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I move Amendment 28 and ask for an aye vote, and it adds one member to the interim committee as a non-voting member, and this person would be a representative of an organization that represents the senior population to serve on the committee as a non-voting member. And then we also caught a glitch in the title name of, instead of state firefighters, it's professional, Colorado professional firefighter. So we just clarified the name, and we would ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion among voting members? Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleagues, I ask for an aye vote as well. One of the common discussions when we're discussing task force is who these non-voting members are, and the desire is to bring folks together for the discussion. I can assure you, discussion of 911 will bring people out of the woodwork, whether they're sitting up on the dais as part of the task force technically, or whether they brought in to testify. The distinction on firefighters was volunteer versus professional. I assure you they will both be present in the building and talking about this. Same for the senior community. They're an important part of this discussion. They've always been an important part, and inclusion of them merely means they'll be part of the task force. But all of the interests that 911 affects, which is probably just about everybody, will be included in this robust discussion that will happen over the interim. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on Amendment L028? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of Amendment L028. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. To the bill. Further discussion. Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With that, I think we've done some great work here. And as I mentioned, I think raising the awareness around some of the challenges we might have with our emergency services in Colorado, and the way we can bring folks together to have intelligent conversations about this and make it better for everyone is really one of the core services that we have. I ask for an aye vote on Senate Bill 183.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I also ask for an aye vote on Senate Bill 183 and really appreciate the work of the sponsors on doing it the Colorado collaborative way and making sure that we protect our public safety as well. Thank you.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 183? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 183. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate Bill 183 is adopted. Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee lay over the balance of the general order second reading of bills calendar to April 29th.
The motion is to lay over the balance of general order second reading of bills calendar to April 28th. All in favor say aye.
Aye. 29.
Excuse me. Clarification. I said the 28th. The motion is to lay over the balance of the general order second reading of bills calendar to April 29th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the balance of the calendar will be laid over to April 29th. Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion is for the body to rise and report. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
April 28, 2016, Mr. President, the committee will place the report under consideration of the following tax bills. Make second reading thereof, makes following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 150 is amended. Senate Bill 183 is amended. Passes second reading in order to go to the counter for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1377, Senate Bill 187, Senate Bill 188, House Bill 1320, laid over until April 29, 2016, and taking their place on the calendar.
Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move adoption of the report.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. Senate Bill 150 is amended. Senate Bill 183 is amended. Passed on second reading and ordered, engrossed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1377, Senate Bill 187, Senate Bill 188, House Bill 1320 laid over until April 29th and retaining their place on the calendar. Consideration of House amendments to Senate bills. Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, this time I am going to move a special orders calendar that is made up of the general order second reading bills consent calendar from tomorrow's calendar. It's found on page 3 of your calendar. I'll list the bills accordingly. Mr. President, I move the Senate take up a special order second reading bills consent calendar comprised of House Bill 1333, House Bill 1330, House Bill 1329, Senate Bill 195, and Senate Bill 179 at the hour of 10:43.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. At the hour of 10:43, the Senate will take up a special orders second reading of bills consent calendar as articulated by the Majority Leader and listed on page 3 of your calendar for Friday, April 29th's calendar. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of special orders second reading of bills consent calendar.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Holbert will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. Mr. Majors, would you read the title of all the bills listed on the special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar?
House Bill 1333 by Representative Lee and Senator Scheffel and Heath concerning laws governing partnerships codified in Title VII of the Colorado Revised Statutes. House Bill 1330 by Representative Lee and Senator Scheffel and Heath concerning authority to file a correction statement with the Secretary of State if a document previously filed was delivered to the Secretary of State for filing an error. House Bill 1329 by Representative Lee and Senator Scheffel and Heath concerning laws governing limited liability companies codified in Article 80 of Title VII of the Colorado Revised Statutes. Senate Bill 195 by Senator Grantham and Representative Rankin concerning the annual appropriation of money in the Central Fund for Veteran Centers to the State Department of Human Services. Senate Bill 179 by Senators Roberts and Heath and Representatives Del Grosso and Lee concerning improvements to the processes used by the Department of Labor and Employment regarding the employment classification of an individual for purposes of unemployment insurance eligibility.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee adopt the bills listed on the special orders second reading of bills consent calendar, which is comprised of House Bill 1333, House Bill 1330, House Bill 1329, Senate Bill 195 and its associated Appropriations Committee report, and Senate Bill 179 and its associated Appropriations Committee report. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion on the committee reports for the bills listed on the special order second reading of bills consent calendar? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee reports. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee reports are adopted. Is there any further discussion on the bills listed on the special order second reading of bills consent calendar? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the bills listed on the special order second reading of bills consent calendar. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills are adopted. Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion is for the body to rise and report. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
April 28, 2016, Mr. President, the committee will receive reports on consideration of the following attached bills. Second reading thereof makes following recommendations around Senate Bill 195 as amended, Senate Bill 179 as amended, pass the second reading in order to gross place the counter for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1333, House Bill 1330, and House Bill 1329 pass the second reading in order to revise place at the counter for third reading and final passage.
Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move adoption of the report.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 1 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. Senate Bill 195 is amended. Senate Bill 179 is amended, passed on second reading, and ordered, engrossed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1333, House Bill 1330, House Bill 1329 passed on second reading and ordered, revised, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleagues, we're going to do a...
That'll be $10, Mr. Majority Leader.
Sorry, Mr. President.
Of all people.
You do not look like the good senator from Douglas County.
Is there one?
Ooh. I'm staying out of that. Mr. President, colleagues, we are going to bring up a special order second reading of Bill's calendar, and so if you could look to page 3 and page 4 of tomorrow's calendar. We're going to start with House Bill 1021, so we're not going to bring up Senate Bill 181 or Senate Bill 146. We will bring up a special orders calendar which starts with House Bill 21 and goes to the balance of tomorrow's second reading calendar. Mr. President, I move that the Senate take up a special order second reading of Bill's calendar comprised of House Bill 1021, House Bill 1359, Senate Bill 104, SCR 2, Senate Bill 72, House Bill 1256, House Bill 1034, Senate Bill 35, House Bill 1227, and House Bill 1129 at the hour of 10:48.
The motion is that the Senate take up a special orders second reading of Bill's calendar comprised of the bills listed on pages 3 and 4 from tomorrow's general order second reading of Bill's calendar. We will not be printing them en masse as you have them in your calendar. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will take up a special orders calendar at the hour of 10:48, and having reached that hour, Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. The pride of El Paso County, I might add. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of special orders, second reading of bills.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of special orders, second reading of bills. And the good senator from Douglas County will take the chair.
Oh, it's getting close to the end. The committee will come to order. Mr. Majors, will you please read the title to House Bill 1021?
House Bill 1021 by Representative Salazar, Senators Yieldberry and Roberts, concerning providing the opportunity to collect identifying information from applicants for state issue cards.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1021 and the Judiciary Committee report.
To the Judiciary Committee report, Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We restored the bill in Senate Judiciary. We restored the bill to the condition it came out of the Pickle Interim Committee, the Profiling Initiated Contacts by Law Enforcement Interim Committee. And I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on the Judiciary Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report to House Bill 1021. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee report is adopted. Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Ulibarri and I bring you this bill, House Bill 1021. It was one of the bills that we came out of the interim committee. We spent a fair amount of time talking over the interim about data collection and how might we have some data points that would be non-invasive when somebody is asked what their race is. And what we came up with was a voluntary race information added to somebody's driver's license at the time that they renew their driver's license or get one. They can choose to include that information, and that would be a data point that could be useful in studies at a later date.
Further discussion. Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in support of House Bill 1021. As the good senator from the Western Slope indicated, that this came out of the Pickle Committee, and we felt it was necessary because right now officers have to guess on what the ethnicity is of a person. And if somebody is of mixed races, the officer then has to guess what race they are, whether or not they're Hispanic, whether or not they're African American, whatever. So we felt this was a better way of getting that information than having officers guess on the street. And we didn't. What we heard too was the people that the officers come in contact don't want the officer to guess. They don't want them to try and figure out what they are, and they don't want them to ask. They don't want to say, "Hey, are you white? Or are you black? Or are you Hispanic?" They would rather self-report and put it on their magnetic strips.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think there ought to be a minority report, you might say, on the committee. One guy voted no. That was me. And this is how come. First off, this idea of hyphenating everyone I find to be a very curious practice that we seem to engage in more than I believe is warranted. And if we're talking about trying to identify individuals, well, their driver's license has their picture, it has a description of their height and other particulars like that. If they want to volunteer the information, well, that's what the bill says. If you want to volunteer the information as to, some designation on race, then you do. It seems to me that that can just as easily occur at the point of a stop. And so I didn't see the necessity of this, and I come down to speak on this because I find that our obsession with who's on what race to be a very curious notion that I would just as soon see us move on along past. And so I was no vote on the bill.
Further discussion. Senator Aguilar. Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank the bill sponsors for bringing this, and I rise in support of the bill. And I'm going to be personal and say that I think that if you look white, whether somebody knows you're Hispanic or not doesn't matter to you. But when you don't, if a police officer were to ask me what is my nationality, I would immediately become defensive and think he was asking because he was wanting to be ruder to me if he knew what it were. And so, and I'm not saying that because of police officers, I'm just saying that because of growing up in a ethnically segregated neighborhood. And so while my children actually are colorblind and really think that those of us who are older overdo this being PC thing, I think those of us who are older, unfortunately, have had experience with this where it could actually create a negative interaction with our police officers, which we really don't want to do. So I support this bill and thank both senators for working on it.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, colleagues, House Bill 1021, as the good senator from Berth had mentioned, it has some problems. First of all, it creates the issue, in my opinion, of racial tension from a standpoint, and I appreciate what the good senator from Denver said, because frankly, I've been involved in police stops, and, I was stopped because I was a white guy in the wrong area. And I was told that. It happens in certain areas. certain parts of the country. You have to get over that. And I also learned a long time ago that when somebody asks me a question from law enforcement that they really don't have the right to ask me, or I don't have the responsibility to give them an information, I kindly say nothing. That's the correct answer. Colleagues, regarding this bill as being a practical tool for law enforcement or for anyone else to identify statistically if there is a problem with people being stopped unduly because of race, the idea that the information is only given if somebody wants to put it on their driver's license or on that magnetic strip makes that invalid, makes it useless. It'd be like having an election and saying, well, you know, you're registered voters, but you know, we're going to try to get information, but you know, nobody has to register. Well, that's a bad analogy. I'll take that back. Gets in the weeds. But colleagues, if we don't have everybody's identification here, trying to use that as a useful tool makes no sense at all. And as a matter of fact, if anything, if you do have somebody from law enforcement that has an attitude that may not be good, that may even give them another excuse to give that person trouble when they're stopped. Or, I guess, if they're concerned about pressure and political pressure, it may give them an excuse to treat that person possibly better than another person. Colleagues, we're supposed to be looking at a colorblind society, and a society that requires equality and due process. This does exactly the opposite, or at best, it does nothing, and it's statistically invalid. So I would urge a no vote.
Further discussion. Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, the point of this particular interim committee was to see if we could find some practical tools to address some of the perceived and real bias that's out there, and particularly as it might relate to law enforcement. And we heard strongly from faith communities and those affected in the communities who were concerned about this. They didn't want to be asked directly. An example I gave during the interim committee is that I was confused on with some of the proposals for data collection. My nieces are mixed race. They have an African-American father and Anglo mother. And the question in my mind was, how would they report themselves? It's not really an option, half and half. So this would be left to the individual, how they wanted to self-identify. A good example given to us for the practical application was if an officer seemed to have a number of stops that were disproportionate to the ethnic background of his or her neighborhood, then the police chief could ask that individual to come in, find out what's going on, see if there's any kind of issue happening that needs to be addressed at the most local level. So this one seemed to be a practical, least cost alternative with voluntary information collected, and I ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion. Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1021. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1021 is adopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1359?
House Bill 1359 by Representative Salazar and Senator Guzman concerning the use of medical marijuana while on probation.
Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1359 on second reading.
To the bill, Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 1359 is a requested bill from the Colorado Division of Probation Services. The bill fixes a potentially costly administrative problem that was created by the bill that we passed last year. It removes the reference to an assessment that the probation administers to determine whether or not a probationary person needs drug treatment. It retains the ability for the judge to deny the use of medical marijuana when using medical marijuana would interfere with the goals of the sentencing. That denial would now be based on material evidence in the case rather than the assessment they have used previously. And that's what this bill would do, would move it from an assessment to material evidence. I ask for your support.
Is there further discussion on House Bill 1359? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1359. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 104?
Senate Bill 104 by Senator Todd, Representative Baker J. concerning incentives to become a teacher in a rural school district of Colorado.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee lay over Senate Bill 104 to April 29th.
The motion is to lay over Senate Bill 104 to April 29th. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Bill 104 will be laid over till April 29th. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Concurrent Resolution 2?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 2 by Senator Baumgartner and Representative Vehil, submitting to the Register of Electors of the State of Colorado amendment to the Colorado Constitution concerning an exemption for property taxation for possessory interest in real property if the actual value of the interest is less than or equal to $6,000 of such amount adjusted for inflation.
Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move SCR 16002. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Concurrent Resolution 2. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Concurrent Resolution 2 is adopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 72?
Senate Bill 72 by Senator Kerr concerning an increase in the maximum total amount of annual lease payments authorized for lease purchase agreements entered into under the Building Excellent Schools Today Act.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 72 and the Education Committee report and the Appropriations Committee report.
To the Education Committee report, Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Education Committee report added some language around equalizing charter funding or opportunities for best grants. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on the Education Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Education Committee report to Senate Bill 72. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee report is adopted. To the Appropriations Committee report, Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Appropriations Committee report took what was an excellent, the best bill possible, and cut it in half. It's still a very good bill. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Appropriations Committee report to Senate Bill 72. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Appropriations Committee report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe that we are all familiar with the Best Program Building Excellent Schools Today. This is a program that especially is beneficial for our rural schools, our rural school districts, where we have leveraged money to make sure that we are able to build new schools and also to fix schools that desperately need it. Since the passage of the BEST program about 8 years ago, it quickly filled up to its limit at $40 million, the cap at $40 million. And there's also often been conversation about increasing that. We are increasing that over a 2-year period. We're increasing the cap by a total of $10 million. It does not require that the BEST board has to give out those grants. They still have the discretion to make sure that they're well-written, well-prepared grants. The local match is still in there, and as guardrails. So I really see Senate Bill 72 as our best foot forward here in the legislature this year to make sure that we are able to put some money behind school safety. We've already been talking to some school districts who want to build in some of the school safety measures that have been discussed quite a bit in this body. And with that, I ask for your favorable adoption for Senate Bill 72.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 72? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 72. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 72 is adopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1256?
House Bill 1256 by Representative Brown, Senator Sonnenberg, concerning a study regarding the creation of additional water storage in the South Platte River Basin in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1256 and the committee report on Ag and Natural Resources.
Any discussion on the Ag and National Resources Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee report is adopted. Is there further discussion on 1256? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1256. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and House Bill 1256 is adopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1034?
House Bill 1034 by Representative Science, Senator Garcia, concerning emergency medical responder registration of the Department of Public Health and Environment in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Majority Leader Sheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You need tomorrow or today? If you can, I move that the committee lay over House Bill 1034 to the end of the special orders, second reading of bills calendar.
Motion is to lay over House Bill 1034 to the end of the special order second reading of bills calendar. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and House Bill 1034 will lay over to the end of the special order second reading of bills calendar. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 35?
Senate Bill 35 by Senator Johnston, concerning the public school fund in connection with creating a public school fund investment board to direct the state treasurer on the investment of the fund and changing the distribution of the interest or income earned on the investment of the monies in the fund.
Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 35, and I move the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee report, and I move the Finance Committee report.
Senator Johnson, let's do the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee report. I don't think we've never had that combination.
Whenever you go there and survive, it's a great story to tell. Thank you. We move the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee report first.
Yes, sir. To the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The State Veterans and Military Affairs made some key changes to both the legislative declaration language as well as the balance of funding, identifying that the first $20 million of funding goes to the School Finance Act. The next $20 million goes to the best capital school construction, and then dollars above that is decided by the legislature if they want to reinvest in the permanent fund or if they want to put it back into those other buckets for school finance or for school construction. Pass for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee report is adopted. To the Finance Committee report, Senator Johnson.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Finance Committee report just created the advisory, the investment group that helps oversee this fund, and made clear that there's diverse party representation on that group, and that the group clarifies that the legislature controls ultimate decision-making power over where to invest the revenues. Ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion on the Finance Committee report. Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Finance Committee report. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Delighted to do this with my friend here who's going to speak in just a second. Critical problem we tried to solve here, which is just how to make sure we got enough resources to rural school districts, particularly that are struggling with school construction, and how to do that without either cutting existing budgets or with adding new revenue through other vehicles. And this is a way that we work together with the treasurer and with the state land board to help manage the permanent school fund, which is a $1 billion fund right now that only returns about a 2% return, or about $20 million a year. We've created an investment group that will help advise on the conservative and reasonable ways to invest that fund so you can increase the returns, which increases the amount of revenue that can come both into BEST and into school finance. And so one of the few bills you'll see this session that will increase funding for K-12 and for school construction without cutting anyone else's budgets. Ask for an aye vote.
Senator Sonderberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I can't add much other than say that, quite frankly, this is a way to increase revenue for schools without doing anything, and I ask for a vote before my good friend shows up here at the desk. This is a good bill that'll increase funding for schools with a touch little more risk, kind of like the difference between a savings account and maybe a mutual fund. Savings accounts, you get very little. For just a little bit of increased risk, all of a sudden we have a lot more money to spend on education. I'd ask for your yes vote.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 35? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 35. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The no has it, and the bill is lost. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1227?
House Bill 1227 by Representatives Kagan and Del Grosso, Senators Hill and Crowder, concerning exemptions from child support enforcement requirements as a condition of receipt of child care assistance under the Colorado Child Care Assistance Program and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move 1227. There is no committee report.
To the bill, Senator Crowder.
Sir, this is a very simple bill, but it's an important bill. Basically, what we have right now is for child support, young ladies have to get counties to agree to have the former boyfriend sign on. And what this does, that basically is exempts that procedure from child support enforcement requirements as a condition of receipt of child care assistance under the Colorado bill. And this is really a good bill. What this does is it allows young ladies with young children to go ahead and continue their education and have that ability for child care, and without the threat of any type of intimidation from a former boyfriend. So with that, sir, I think it's a good bill, and I'll ask for an aye vote on it.
Is there further discussion on House Bill 1227? Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, I'm proud to bring this bill as well. Right now we have a system when it comes to the child care support while a student is in high school that basically they have to use the courts and have a lawsuit, have a court challenge filed against a baby's father in order to get the child care services so that a teen mother can stay in school. I think that's an inappropriate use of the court system to create an antagonistic relationship in this instance where there's already challenges. Obviously, we know the circumstances here are already difficult circumstances. But the goal here, and I speak from a pro-life standpoint, the goal here is if we're going to encourage the value of every single human life, mother, father, child alike, we shouldn't be using this requirement, the power of government, to make it harder for someone to stand on their own 2 feet, get that education they need, provide services that we already offer. Let's not use the power of the state to make that even more difficult, to create further antagonism where there shouldn't be. Honored to carry this bill with my fellow senator and ask for your support.
Is there further discussion on House Bill 1227? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1227. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and House Bill 1227 is adopted. Mr. Majors, would you please read the Majority Leader shuffle?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee lay over the balance of the special order second reading of bills calendar to April 29th.
The motion is to lay over the balance of the special order second reading of bills calendar to April 29th. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the balance of the calendar will be laid over, special order second reading of bills calendar will be laid over to April 29th. Majority Leader shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
Motion is for the committee to rise and report. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report. You gonna run a cow? Yes. Okay. Gonna run a herd of them.
Run a horse. Why don't you run a horse? Burro, a burro.
I'm going to lock him in the president's office and feed him a bunch of hay.
I appreciate the help from the whip.
There's not.
There's not enough to do.
Even with the
Tomorrow.
charter school stuff? All right, all right.
We really have to put suspend the rules. We ought to think about suspending the rules. Then we could get stuff taken.
Yeah, yeah.
Quicker. I'm just gonna wait.
You can suspend them anytime, right? Put you on a horse.
Hey, can you check with
I had this pain in my shoulder. I lift, you know those big water bottles that you put on the.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
April 28, 2016, Mr. President, the committee always reports that under consideration the following attached bill being second reading thereof makes following recommendations thereon. Senate Concurrent Resolution 2, Senate Bill 72 is amended, passed on second reading in order and gross page to the counter for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1021 is amended, House Bill 1359, House Bill 1256 is amended, and House Bill 1227 passes second reading in order to revise page on the counter for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 104, House Bill 1129, and House Bill 1034 laid over until April 29, 2016, retaining the place on the calendar. Senate Bill 35 is amended, lost on second reading.
Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move adoption of the report and ask for rejection of all cow amendments.
You have heard the motion. There are no amendments. There is an amendment. Mr. Majors, would you please read Committee of the Whole Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 35?
Committee of the Whole Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 35.
Senator Sonberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Sonnenberg-Johnson-Grantham amendment. Were you not on this? It's on here. You are now. Actually, I think there's probably 34 senators that ought to be on this amendment, but to the amendment to the Committee of the Whole report.
Is there further discussion? Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I reluctantly concur with my good friend from Sterling and ask for an aye vote.
Is that the chair challenging the chair? Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Committee of the Whole Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 35. Are there any no votes? Senator Jones. With 33 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 1 excused. Hello. Senator Carroll is a no vote. Further no votes on Committee of the Whole Amendment 1. With 32 ayes, 2 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the amendment to the Committee of the Whole is adopted. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move adoption of the report.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 1 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. Senate Concurrent Resolution 2, Senate Bill 72 as amended, Senate Bill 35 as amended, passed on second reading and ordered, engrossed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1021 as amended, House Bill 1359, House Bill 1256 as amended, House Bill 1227 passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 104, House Bill 1129, House Bill 1034 laid over until April 29th and retaining their place on the calendar. Consideration of House amendments to Senate bills. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of Senate Bill 132?
Senate Bill 132 by Senator Cook, Representative Foot, considering clarifying that test results relating to certain DUI offenses are not public information.
Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate concur with House amendment to Senate Bill 132.
Is there further discussion? Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President. This was the intoxilizer bill where all the information for everybody that was ever arrested for DUI and blew into an intoxilizer that made it not public information. So the House added that if it's material evidence in a court case, then the judge can decide to release it if it's actually needed for the defense of the person.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the concurrence with House amendments to Senate Bill 132. Are there any no votes? Senator Baumgardner? With 33 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 1 excused, and no 17 Cs, Senate Bill 132, the amendment, the Senate concurs with House amendments to Senate Bill 132. Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the readoption of Senate Bill 132.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the readoption of Senate Bill 132. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 132 is readopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Baumgardner. Consideration of House adherence. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate lay over the balance of the calendar to April 29th.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The balance of the calendar will lay over until April 29th. Announcements. Senator Newell. Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, you had all received a flyer about Concrete Day at the Capitol and dinner, lunch tomorrow. That has changed. You need to make sure that you note that it has changed to Thursday, May 5th. They look forward, if you remember and have been here last year, they have a huge event out on the northeast or the southeast corner of the Capitol grounds. It will be there again, but it won't be there until Thursday, next Thursday, a week from today, and not tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, on both sides of the aisle, we are passing around these envelopes for donations to the MS Society for the MS Walk, the Capitol Crew. And I do have donor receipts available for tax purposes if you would like that. And we would so appreciate your donation if you are so inclined. And we will probably still be walking on Saturday, and stay tuned for tomorrow for the Capitol Crew Walk.
Senator Grantham.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appropriations Committee tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. I will plan on seeing most of you there, given the length of the calendar tomorrow. We have 22 bills on the calendar that is sitting in front of you. And guess what? We're adding 5 more. So, here we go. If your name is already in the calendar, you can plan to be there. but if your bill is one of the following, please show up as well. Senate Bill 1, Senate Bill 19, Senate Bill 138, Senate Bill 180, and Senate Bill 205. Senate Bills 1, 19, 138, 180, 205. Sold. Thank you, Mr. President.
Additional announcements. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleagues, we are going to leave the desk.
That'll be $20. Mr. Majority Leader.
You call him chairman? Are you serious? It's all this time we're spending on seconds, Mr. President.
Okay.
Mr. President, colleagues, we're going to leave the desk open. We've got bills coming over from the House. You need to get to committees where you need to be extremely productive today. So, Mr. President, do you need an announcement? I've been preempted, Mr. President.
Actually, I get to determine that. Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. And just to remind you all, tomorrow is Show Your College Spirit, College Friday. So get out your college duds and wear them. Those of you in uniform can come and we'll salute you. But tomorrow is College Friday, and so plan ahead and see you tomorrow.
Message from the House.
April 28, 2016, Mr. President, the House has postponed indefinitely Senate Bill 67 and 157. The bills are returned herewith.
Introduction of resolutions.
Senate Joint Resolution 38 by Senators Tate and Todd and Representative Denal Sias concerning the designation of May 2016 as Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the Senate lay over Senate Joint Resolution 38 to April 29th.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Joint Resolution 38 will lay over until April 29th.
Senate Joint Resolution 39 by Senator Scott and Baumgartner and Representative Willett concerning support for the Jordan Cove liquefied natural gas export facility.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate lay over Senate Joint Resolution 39 to April 29th.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Joint Resolution 39 will lay over until April 29th. Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, if any of you are feeling under the weather, Dr. Adolph is in the House and prepared to administer accordingly to those in need. As I said, we are going to leave the desk open. Mr. President, I move that the Senate recess to 1 p.m. this afternoon.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will stand in recess until 1 p.m.